It's showtime. Here we are,
Yay! Welcome.
episode 15 of the Practical AI Show. I love multiples of 5. We've reached another one.
Yes. Welcome to this weekly episode where we have been searching for news and trends and all the great things that happen in the AI world this week, because every week there's a lot going on. And we are bringing you today the latest and the greatest, so you can keep up with what's going on, be in the know, so you can make decisions that are informed. You can understand the bigger picture. You can understand how it all fits together. And in the worst case scenario, you'll be the smartest person at some dinner party this weekend, because you know all the latest and the greatest that's happening in AI world. So to kick this off,
Well, hold on. Before we do, I want to make a promise. Today we have a nice little workflow recipe for your creative and social processes to make creatives, to do social posts, all of that stuff. We've got an actual recipe that you're going to be able to take and use and experiment with. And I think after you see this, you're going to think, I need to be doing this. So that's our big takeaway from the week. But we got a lot of other stuff going on. We got a mind-blowing deal with Perplexity. We'll kick off the show with that. What happened?
Okay, I really was scratching my head yesterday when I saw that, and I was like, there's no way. So apparently, do you want to put up the little thing that I created? So apparently Snapchat just signed a $400 million deal with Perplexity AI. Perplexity will become the default AI answer engine inside Snapchat's chat tab starting in early 2026. It puts Perplexity in front of get ready for this, 940 million users. And over 477 million of those users are daily active users, and most of them are Gen Z. So this isn't Snap paying for Perplexity's tech. It's reverse. Perplexity is paying Snap cash and equity. Crazy. Why? Because in today's AI landscape, distribution trumps model size. This is about reach, not raw horsepower. Perplexity is betting $400 million to go from 20 million weekly users, which what they're currently at, to potentially hundreds of millions overnight.
Let's pump the brakes real quick before we move on there. Everybody in this AI arms race is chasing users.
Yes.
This has been the biggest thing I'm noticing. They don't care about, they're not, profitability is a secondary, maybe tertiary concern. Everybody's chasing users. Everybody's kind of chasing some data too, which we're going to look at. But I think that's fascinating because the arms race is for eyeballs.
So in this beautiful picture that you see, by the way, I'm going to start calling out everything I created with AI. This is AI magic from Canva, which we will be talking later. But literally, this picture took me maybe 30 seconds to create. But what a great visual. So Snapchat is in whatever, this Lamborghini car with Perplexity, having a great time, and OpenAI is trying to catch up. And so that's exactly what's going on. And I mean, what do you think? I mean, Gen Z is, they're hard to get. I mean, they're not on any of the boomers, things, not on Facebook, maybe on Instagram. I mean, ChatGPT, what is that, under 26, but
half users.
Half
users. They don't publish articles. They're not like, doing blogs. They're not writing, publishing articles online. All their content is social, but it's not like the easily accessible stuff like X. Not even that. It's really like Snapchat stuff, which is so interesting, which is, that stuff is vapor. It disappears.
So let me tell you a little bit more about this deal, okay? So what do they get? They're not going to get any access to the actual user, information or any kind of personal detail or information about their chats. What they will get information, what they will see is the exact questions Gen Zs are asking to AI, and they're going to follow up with refinements, clarifications. They're going to see engagement patterns, whether users bounce, share, keep the conversation going, and probably metadata like time, device type, and general geolocation, depending on the API access.
So they're getting everything that happens in the prompt. That's their
They're
access.
going to get
their visibility.
real-time behavioral search data at generational scale. They'll know what Gen Z wants to know before most search engines or marketers do. That's basically a radar on what's about to trend, break out, or go viral. And this could reshape how products are built, content is surfaced, and how AI agents interact with users. So
what's interesting about that is that almost all marketing is somewhat reactive.
yeah.
Everything that's happened up to now is sort of reactive. The shift here is that they're trying to figure out sentiment beforehand to be proactive. I actually have a buddy real quick who runs a company. I'm not going to call it his company in here because I didn't get permission, but his company is like an investing advisor, stock investing, trading. And his company mines social media data, Facebook, X, a little bit of Instagram, and I think a little bit of LinkedIn to check for consumer sentiments. And he makes recommendations about stocks to buy based on consumer sentiments. And they've had a lot of success. They have like a very clear track record of success. So they see if people are positively posting about something on X, they'll buy. And then when user sentiment, for example, went negative on Chipotle's queso, they said it's a sell signal, and that stuff worked out. It's very interesting. So when you have data where you can be proactive or ahead of the trends, you can do some more powerful things. So this play at large.
So this could reshape how products are built, content is surfaced, how AI interact with agents, and then it will become the first stop for answers inside the chat apps. So what will happen to the open web? Like, would those users from Snapchat even go to the open web anymore? I don't know.
They don't really anyway. It's all contained in these centralized services like, Snapchat.
Right. And so anyway, there's also monetization here. Snap is shifting from ads only into what their CEO calls AI toll booth. They're charging companies like Perplexity for access to eyeballs. And that opens a business model where AI tools pay to embed, while creators and publishers might monetize through partnerships, plugins, or agent access licenses. So bottom line, there's more than a search deal. It's a power shift. Perplexity isn't just building a better AI, it's buying the right to sit inside the most intimate user environment, Gen Z. And the data flows through that pipe. That's the new oil, because that's everything. So we'll likely see TikTok, WhatsApp, iMessage, and Instagram do similar deals. AI agents everywhere baked right into the apps we use daily. So can you show the next picture right quick?
Well, I got some questions about this, but
hold on. What I want to show, this is the actual distribute. So first of all, look at their daily active users, 477 million, right? Daily active users. And we have a teenager, so we know how active the users are. I mean, it's nonstop.
This is how they keep up with each other.
And then that's the only way they do that, right? And the monthly active users are almost a billion. So sounds kind of familiar, right? Like ChatGPT is bragging about their weekly users, which is like what, 800 million?
Yep.
And so they just basically got access to the youngest generation out there. Look at their age. I guess you can't really see it very well, but it's 13 to 17, the first one, and then it's 18 to 24. This is their big, their big part of who is in there. And then obviously the older people, 25 and beyond is not as.
Who are these 35 pluses on Snapchat? I got
they cut off that. I have questions about that. Anyway, what are your thoughts? What do you think? I did not see, this was not on my bingo card.
No, an interesting new play. And so like sort of the talk recently, the last 2 weeks, has been that Perplexity, other big models keep making moves that are really putting Perplexity on notice. OpenAI came out with its browser. Perplexity had Comet before that and was the only player in the space. Now they're kind of pushed aside completely. So a lot of people are very bearish on Perplexity. Well, then they go and make this $400 million deal, from the grave, essentially, as far as sentiment is concerned. And it's got me scratching my chin. I'm very intrigued by this. Here's what makes Snapchat different. For kids, we'll say kids, everyone under 24, being generous here. Their connection to people, the way they use the internet to connect to people, is Snapchat. That is fundamentally different than ChatGPT having a prompt, which is your connection to an AI. It is not connection to people. So Snapchat is the way they connect to real world people. And that to me makes it feel different. But the thing I don't understand is, what is the prompt tool for in Snapchat? If Snapchat is the way they use to keep in touch with other people and to like track their locations and to coordinate and to do all this stuff, where does the prompt enter that equation as like a main part of the workflow? That's what I don't understand.
Well, I guess we'll find out once that goes live in 2026.
I know someone we can ask.
I know. We'll definitely ask our 16-year-old expert. But anyway, so no ads. They're literally, the AI provider is paying Snapchat for eyeballs.
They just want the prompt data. It's crazy.
Well, yes, and they want the data, and then who knows what's going to happen and what's going to lead to. But you heard it here first. So what's your prediction?
I think we're going to see other. So the future of AI is entirely dependent upon the data it can get. These models can consume. Consuming the entire internet, we may as well just assume that that's already been done. Every page, every bit of information that's ever been published to the internet, already incorporated into the models. Mm-hmm. We know that the velocity of publishing on internet is way down compared to the velocity happening on these social media type apps. Most of the content being produced is on social media. Most of the connection occurs there. There's growth in like video, things like that. There's not growth in web pages. So these models, in order to continue to acquire new relevant data, have to mine socials somehow. And to me, this represents one potential play in that space. They're getting where people are. This is where the content is. You need to be able to consume this new data. So you got to be there.
Yeah.
If you're not there, that's why Grok has a specific advantage on real-time data to me. But this play suggests, hey, maybe Grok doesn't, not everybody's on X. 16-year-old doesn't care about X.
I mean, Grok doesn't have access to Snap. I was blown away, and I think the way we think about ads is going to be very different in a couple of years, because this Gen Z is coming up and they're not using the internet the way we do.
No, I'm sticking with my prediction. Everyone's going to have like a video avatar of themselves that AI uses, and you're going to get parasympathetic ads where you see yourself doing things.
Well,
and that's going to one-shot a lot of people.
We don't know. But anyway, this is an exciting development, while OpenAI is trying to chase more and more whatever contract. Perplexity slid into Snap's.
Yeah, hold on, new wrinkle. So the car race, again, Perplexity made a move to pull ahead. We'll see if they can get anything out of that position. Moving
on. So this past week was a pretty big on public appearances for Elon Musk. He was on 2 podcasts. I will not be reviewing everything he talked about, because you guys can go and watch it yourself if you are interested. He spent 3.5 hours on Joe Rogan's podcast, and then he spent an hour and a half on All In podcast. Very different vibes on both of them. He spent a lot more time with Joe talking about the future and like what that looks like on the vision. Highly recommend it. And then with All In, he spent more of a business talk and all the releases that are coming out. So, and I did an interesting exercise. Actually, I used Claude and I fed both transcripts to Claude. And I said of the interviews, and I said, hey, based on what Elon talks about, what kind of world is he describing in 5 years? And it gave me this awesome pictures of what that looks like, which is actually terrifying. But then I asked, what's the movie that that it's the closest match to? And it said the movie is, and I'm going to say it wrong. What did I say?
Blade Runner 2049?
What is it?
Blade Runner 2049?
Yes. So 2040. Yes, that's the movie that's apparently the closest is describing the future we will be living in about 5 years. So we'll be watching that movie this weekend. But the couple of things that I wanted to briefly mention there that Elon talked about on Joe Rogan, he talked about truth-seeking AI versus ideologically captured AI. So he is doubling down that most AI is not truth-seeking, and it's very important to make it that way. And he keeps positioning Grok as the maximally truth-seeking AI. And to be fair, with all the work I do for the show, the most lying AIs is everything other than Grok. So Grok is the one that really delivers on the most updated kind of information. So for me, so far, it's winning. It sucks at copywriting, but on the truth, so far it checks out for me. And then he also talked about how.
Hold on. Before he said he claimed that the existing AIs like ChatGPT and others are very biased due to their training data.
Right.
And you can see this in practice if you do certain queries that are sort of edge socially acceptable matters. You can just compare these with Grok right away, and you can kind of see that something fishy is going on there in terms of information suppression or steering you away, like, oh, hey, this is a sensitive topic, you probably shouldn't be doing this, that kind of thing.
Well, he even talked about Google, and I forgot the name of the guy, but the guy who's in charge of their DeepMind, what they're working on the model, how Elon saw certain things that didn't add up to him, and I'm not gonna go into detail. You got to listen to the podcast. And he called him up and he goes, "What? Why you? This is blatant lie." And the guy who's literally working on the DeepMind doesn't even, like, his team was in silo from another team that made the tweaks or whatever prompt or whatever criteria used. So within the Google, there's this disagreement of what is true and what is not. And that's just one example of what Elon talked about. And so we're just literally talking about who's got access to the programming things and what's important at the core of all of this AI.
Well, I mean, a point that cannot be escaped is that AIs are programmed by humans.
Well, yeah, who is doing the
these
programming?
Models can operate such that they could draw their own conclusions and engage in reasoning. Right. Yes, that's true. However, in practice, when these things are stress tested, a lot of the results are certain people get uncomfortable with various aspects of the results. And the reality is, like Elon explained about Google setup, is you basically have a compliance team separate from the core engineering team who's saying, okay, compliance is going to look at these outputs. We decide that we don't like some of these areas outputs. We're going to make these changes. So that is massaging output in a way that is directly injecting bias into the results. Because there's human elements of touch all over these things, there's pretty much no way to escape some level of bias.
Well, and then we gotta have to, have a clear understanding of, like, asking questions like what is true and what is not true. But I mean, that's why I like having access to multiple AIs, and I want this that way.
Oh yeah, it's very necessary.
To me, that is everything, because even before we went live today, I rerun something that looked very fishy to me, and of course that was a lie that I got from one of the LLMs, and I had to recheck it to double check it. So anyway, but another thing he talked about that was very interesting to me, because I do come from recruiting background and I care about people's jobs. He talked about how AI and robotics will create a world of sustainable abundance. And in this future, work will be optional. So you'll just own a robot or whatever. And then meaning will become the new currency. And he contrasted that with universal based income, UBI. He says it's not going to be redistribution, but productivity based prosperity. So I thought that was an interesting comment, because, while most people, would say they don't want to go to work, I actually love what I do. So it'll be interesting to see what that would look like when work will be optional.
Well, that's exactly my whole question about this segment. Try to imagine that. It's very difficult. What does that really look like? I have a picture for this that I think, to me right now, my prediction is that this will more closely match reality, to the kind of reality that he's talking about. And it's not that we won't work necessarily, but it is that we will change our perceptions of value. So right now, if I go and play disc golf, somebody who's looking at my work life might say, well, you're screwing off. You're going to play disc golf. You should be working.
Is that your wife?
No, my wife is very supportive of all the things I do. However, someone else might say that. And if they did, I would say that in the future, here's the deal. Other people see value in disc golf too. They really enjoy it. And so if through my participation in that activity, I can generate some data that AIs can use to enhance the experience that others have playing disc golf, then I will probably get paid some amount for the production of that data on an ongoing basis. There will be some marginal thing that I'm accruing because I am providing some value to that ecosystem that others find valuable.
Well,
right now, we don't have a good method for economic capture in these areas, but it is a real thing that occurs. I put data into this app called UDisc every time I play. Other people as a community can see it feeds into the average scoring on these courses. It feeds into like the traffic. It feeds a lot of data that people use to make decisions to participate in this activity.
Yeah.
There's clearly value there, but we don't capture it well right now. With AI processing more data and us getting a feel for, okay, if we acquire this data, there's a cost to accessing data. And, so because there's a cost to accessing data, there's also a value, another cost in producing that data. And we don't have those upstreams and downstream flows nicely defined yet, but AI is helping us do that. And that's another theme that's, we've already talked about before. It's coming up again today. AI is helping us define the costs of every action, upstream and downstream, in a way that has not been possible before. This is going to change the way the world looks. And I think that the future that Elon describes is going to be that. We're going to be capturing value, actual value, from a lot of things right now that we dismiss as being like, oh, this is not really like the thing you should be working on.
We shall see. He said that I think the joke was that the capitalism produced AI and all the robots and everything will actually lead to the socialism or whatever that was, or whatever the communism vision from like 100 years ago. But like it will be achieved through capitalism. So there will be a choice, to work or not.
So the whole, joke with communism, right, is that everybody's supposed to pitch in, but you really just have a few people who work hard, other people who are free riders, and then the hard workers get resentful, and then the whole thing breaks down.
Right.
But the AIs can continue to do the work and won't get resentful, so maybe they can actually work the commune and all the people just screw off. Well, and then nobody's resentful.
We shall see. We shall see. Another thing you mentioned was there's a text to video now in Grok Imagine, and basically can generate explainer videos from articles. So you just put the article in there and have some settings and generate the video. I played with that yesterday. It's still it has lots of bugs. So I'm hoping the next couple of weeks they will redo it. I wanted to demonstrate it, but it was just very.
I messed with it this morning. Super annoying so far.
It was not that great, but it's there, so it's coming. They're definitely adding more and more things to Grok to kind of catch up with all the other, AI providers. And then he mentioned AI curated feeds that will replace raw timelines. We talked about that a lot 2 weeks ago. So in 4 weeks, X will go completely to AI curated feed. And so if you haven't heard that segment, highly recommend you go and checking that out.
Well, I need to fact check this, but there was a little wrinkle on this that was not present before when we brought this up. In I think it was on All In, Elon said that Grok is going to power the following tab. Because right now you have the For You tab, which is really the curated sort of here's what you might be interested in tab, feed that has been most popular over the last year and a half, maybe 2 years. And then you have your following tab, which is all the people you actively follow. He says Grok is going to be messing with the following tab and only show you the most interesting content from people you follow. So to me, I found that to be underwhelming.
I have to.
But I want verification on that, because that would, to me, defeat the purpose. So we need
that. I don't think that's the deal, but we will definitely double check on that.
Personalized and relevance ranked by Grok to you. So we'll see about that.
We will double check on that. And then super tsunami of job displacement. He did talk about that So faster and bigger than anyone expects. The job impact is going to happen faster than anyone really anticipates. And so if you're still doing manual content tasks, it's really time to start shifting to systematizing and automating. You talked about that last week.
I mean, and I had more stuff come up this week. So basically what the takeaway there is if you have your old content workflow was you'll sit down, you'll write an article, you'll break it up into socials, you'll do all that stuff. That's a heavy manual labor sort of thing. It's a lot of time, a lot of refinement. You've got a whole lot that goes into that activity. At this point, especially after playing with, AI, page generation, content generation, and page motor for a week, I cannot see the point of drafting anymore. Like in school, you hear about, you write your rough draft and you go and refine. Oh my God, if you're not having AI write your drafts, you are doing it wrong.
Yeah.
AI does this great thing that I think needs to be elevated in the discussion. When AI does drafts, like Claude is very good at this, it hits key points in a logical order. Humans aren't always good at that on a first draft. It's kind of all over the place. It's really helpful when ideas are organized in a boom, boom, boom type sequence. And AI-based drafting does a magnificent job of this. You get a really good idea of the scope, and then you can go refine and edit from there. And you're going to have a better piece that hits all the right points. You haven't left things out because you're human. Another thing that I really like is that if you have it design, draft content for a particular type of outcome or page or purpose, like a sales page, it knows that, you need to identify customer avatars. You need to hit these key points that people are going to want to be excited to use. Like it has that layer, like, it's this type of page. We're going to do this type of stuff you need to hit in the content. Like it is a super powered way to do drafting. And so I don't see how you can justify doing it any other way. Like, why do a human draft? You need to do this, then you need to refine for your tastes, and then you roll it out the door.
And then we'll keep showing you the tools that you can use to even, cut the time a bit more. So speaking of that, we're going to move to the next segment about Canva. And Canva caught my attention this week because they've announced that they created their Creative OS, which is operating system that they're calling operating system. And I've heard of Canva. Obviously, I've used them. They are claiming to have a native, interface, user, whatever, UX, UI, what do you call it? Interface, user.
It's both. I mean, it's an AI native UI, but then that translates to an AI native UX.
So they're moving into making the workflow is their moat, right? So they want to keep you in there as long as possible. And the word on the street is that Canva is the new Adobe for 95% of the world because they're literally democratizing what Adobe has been owning and cash printing for years. So they also released Affinity, which is the free Photoshop that's free forever. So you can literally go to the website, Affinity or something.com, and play with your pictures just like with Photoshop, but you don't have to pay for Photoshop. So they're using that as their little magnet for people to flock and use that and then convert them into paid users. So what I thought it would be cool today, not just talk about the news, which we will cover that, but I also wanted to sort of pull the curtain a little bit and talk about their how they make money, right? Especially with AI. That's because we care about like how do you build business with AI, and we're gonna talk about how much money they're paying all the other LLMs, how much money they're keeping, and what does that revenue model look like? So last week we talked about Opus Clip, and then this week we're going to talk about Canva. Can you show the next slide right quick?
What startups are actually buying in AI?
Yes. Okay. So if you guys, a month ago, we talked about what startups are actually buying in AI, and we showed you 50 tools that startups paying money for. Those are I think it was like 3,000 companies that they researched.
It was a bunch of them. It was a bunch.
And this is they analyze their financial spend, and this is where a growing company is actually spending their money on. And last week we talked about Opus clip, which is at number 35. So we talked about their business model and how they make money. This week, we're going to talk about Canva. They're number 17. So Canva is a lot bigger than Opus. Opus is like 20 million in revenue, I think. Canva is like 3-something billion. So they are becoming a giant, and they are really going after Adobe. They have a lot more users, and they're just a lot more, I would say, hip, I guess. They're keeping up with their users a lot more. So what they did this week, they unveiled
boom.
the biggest platform leap yet. So now they're Creative OS, where it's a unified creative stack, and that integrates Video 2.0, script to video, timeline editing, drag and drop sequences, huge, email designer, responsive HTML emails, zero code required, according to them.
That one surprised me, but that's,
Forms and lab data, embeddable from builders with live sync, campaign tools, ad management and analytics, design model, proprietary AI trained on 15 years of edits, and Affinity Suite, which we talked about. It's not completely free. So
the design model is very important because I believe they were the first. They generate images, but they have editable layers.
Yes.
So it's like generating a Photoshop document that you can go in and tweak to taste, which is really important.
So that image that I generated with the snaps, car and all of that stuff, that's what I used AI Magic in Canva, and it was just little, like 30 seconds. It was so fast. I just described the prompt, I describe what I want to do, and it creates that. So it could be for anything. It could be for any documents, presentations, now emails. So what's cool about this is that they want you to stay in there and create all kinds of marketing for you, right? Not just the images anymore. And so if you go to the next slide.
Well, real quick, we've talked about what is necessary for a true content flow. You need some words. You need like text. If you have a associated web page, you need an open graph image to go with that. Now, we've said for like AEO, GEO, and all that stuff, and for eyeballs, you need some video. Short form video is great. Like, you need the suite of assets, and it's not just an image. So it makes a lot of sense for them to make this move, because truly, if you're going to put out one asset, there's actually like 6-7 other assets that are implied by that. You need the whole suite.
Yeah. So if you go to the slide with the distribution of Canva projects. So here is what currently users are doing in Canva. So you can see social media graphics is like 35%. So people are using, like they say, 95% of users are not professionals. They're like business owners, teachers, students, anybody who needs some graphic like right now, and they don't really care about perfection. And then presentations, marketing materials, video animations. So it's not just pretty pictures. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff, and looks like they want to grow the website and digital assets. So they want to become the OS where you go, because your style is the same, your fonts are the same, it's like there's this consistency with your image of how you show up in the world, and they want to lock you in there. And they are doing a great job.
Anything you present, if it's presentables, it's Canva. That's their play, and kind of got to tip the hat. Like, yeah, makes sense. And so the key thing here that makes this a remarkable play, and that I think positions it as a big winner, is that this is one of the ways that, society, I guess, or for lack of a better way of putting this, fights back against subscription fatigue. We know this is a problem. I've got accounts at like 6-7 different services. I'm tired of that. I want to quit getting billed in perpetuity by all these different things. If I can go to one place like Canva and knock out 6 of my recurring bills, what do you think I'm going to do?
Yeah.
I mean, this is huge.
Well, so now we know how great they are, and they're taking over the world, and little by little trying to dethrone Adobe. That's really their plan.
Adobe's dead. I should have made a tombstone for Adobe and put it up next.
Well, Adobe is still printing cash like crazy. They don't have as many users as Canva does, but they are in bed with a lot of corporate accounts and bigger accounts where precision still matters, and yada, yada, yada.
Every agency has Adobe subscriptions.
I don't think they're going anywhere yet, but they're a lot more pricey. I think it's like $60 a month or something like that. So it's more for corporate budgets. But I wonder how long that's going to last, because, Canva is on their heels with
They're
a lot
cooked.
of
Tombstone graphic. Gen Z and down is all Canva. It's true.
Anyway, so let's look at how they make money, because I want to show you guys behind the curtain what the revenue model looks like for AI native company, I guess, because third of their revenue at this point is coming from their AI related, tasks where you can literally prompt anything and edit the images that way. So it costs about $156 a year, their pro level. And what they do is they pay money to OpenAI. So it's not just their LLM. So they're working with OpenAI, they're working with Anthropic, they're working with Google Gemini, and of course they are paying for servers. So on the back of the napkin math, kind of double check and triple checking, they pay about $12 to $24 per user to different AI companies. Per user, right? So and then there obviously there's servers and there's other things. They also pay creators for, I guess, their templates and whatnot. Yep. So they keep $100 to $110 per user before salaries and operations. That's that's printing cash to me. And then they based on
keeping about 2/3 of the revenue that they take in.
And then the company-wide net profit margin is 20%. So they keep about 650 to 700 million a year. They always made profit their number one goal. Not because they wanted to grow profitably, I'm guessing. So they had a different strategy. And now they've been buying companies to like this affinity thing, the Photoshop Play, to keep attracting more people to use their free version and then convert. And I think they convert between 10 and 15% of the free users into the pro users, and that's how they make money. So,
I think they have one of the most compelling premium, freemium to premium ramps of anybody right now. I haven't seen a model that really looks like, oh yeah, I'm probably paying for that, but that looks better than this.
Yeah, I want to actually share my screen and I want to show you their this graph. Can you see this?
Yes.
So this is actually I made this with Claude. Claude is really good at generating professional looking visuals. So I just had my the segment from today and I said create a visual for this because I think visuals are cool. So you can look at this, that the annual revenue is 3.3 billion. They've got 20 million paid subscribers and they're anticipating about 360 AI actions per user per year. That's an average. Obviously, some people use more, some people use less, right? So that's kind of like in a nutshell what you have to keep when you're budgeting how much money you're going to be burning on LLMs. So on OpenAI, they spend about 12 to 16 million a year. So they are a pretty big customer for OpenAI. And based on the information I found, they do get obviously enterprise wholesale pricing that us muggles and normies don't get. And then Anthropic, they use it for more of the kind of safety features that they need to do. And so they spend about 5 to 7 million. And then Gemini, I mean, you can read over here.
Let me make a quick note. This document was generated by Claude. It is an HTML document. You notice how she mouses over a section and it has a little bit of movement?
Yeah.
This is a dynamic, presentable document. This is so good.
I know. I love Claude for generation of this kind of stuff. I actually use this with my customers to have a professional done something very quick that takes me 20 seconds.
That's so nice.
I think so. And then you can, I don't know what runway and stability AI is. So I'm assuming that some kind of
specialized services, I think for videos and image type stuff.
Okay.
Specialty things for that.
So I want you guys to start understanding like what does the back end looks like, right? So we all hear about OpenAI and Claude, but there's other players.
Well, there's this big argument, right? Like if they're so reliant on these big AIs, what's to stop these big AIs in the future from like rolling out features that eliminate things like Canva? And sort of the takeaway of this segment is that what Canva is doing is it's building a moat around the full workflow
Yes.
and not just the connections to the AIs. It's not about this one thing they do with Gemini. It's not about this thing they do, the suite of actions they take with OpenAI. It's not about that. It's about the whole thing together. That is their true, unique value proposition, if you will.
Well,
So,
and they're not relying on just one AI player, which is what you preach. But then look at their server cost. I was like, holy cow, that's a lot of, that's a big expense, right? Just to kind of like 140 to 220 million. That's what they're, spending on that. So total annual AI investment is, we're looking at 82 to 100 million for all LLMs. And then we're looking at 220 to 320 total infrastructure. So what do you think about this model?
Well, I think one of the things that doesn't get mentioned enough in discussing like what, companies providing these things, like they do images and video is a big deal, right? So images and video are super heavy files. They're fat. They take up a ton of space. Video generation in particular, like if you commit to doing that, you are committing to crazy server costs. Right. I just had to clean out my computer yesterday because all the videos that we do have filled up the hard drive. So I had to nuke a bunch of these like editing documents I had that were taking up gigs and gigs of space. And I don't have very much at all. Now imagine you scale this out to tons of users who are generating these things every day. Your server costs are enormous.
Yeah.
So that doesn't get enough treatment. And like obviously the trend line is that more and more creatives are being made, more and more are being auto-generated, which means that's going to require server space. Like that is a big deal. That needs to get talked about more, I think.
Well, I like how they put this 4%, 4 to 7% of ARR, so you can see like how big of expense, obviously the servers is like the biggest one over here. And then I also like that they don't rely on one server provider. It's just AWS and Google Cloud. So that way they're not, they're as protecting themselves. Overall, it looks like a very well-run company that does put profit first, because a lot of companies focus on users, or whatever, not a profit. But from what I see, they're printing a ton of money every year, which is good for them. So how can you wrap AI with the moat that like Canva did, right? They got into the crowded space with Adobe, where Adobe ruled the world for how long? A long time. So
25 years.
I know. So on this note, anything from here that you thought was anything else you kind of want to point out or talk about?
Well, I like the play. So here's something I want everyone to think about. So we'll call this embedded AI, because you can do the video generation, you can do the image generation. You're having AI do something for you. If AI is doing something for you, taking a complicated action, saving you time, making you better outputs, that is embedded AI. Okay, you see AI doing something, not just responding with a chat. That's embedded AI. Now, the play for the future is for you to align yourself with companies like this, products like this, that are doing embedded AI in a way that's providing a clear benefit. Like this is what you need to be seeking out. If somebody's doing that, that is a thing you would want to use now, because someone else is going to use these tools and get ahead of you. I mean, they provide very clear leverage, very clear boost in creative output. Like there's no sense arguing or, trying to do this like purity battle where you say, oh, well, we still have, a team do all our creatives and we do it the old fashioned way and all that. That's nonsense. You're going to get lapped by people using these more powerful tools. And you can't discount the fact that like the outputs are always going to be getting better. So you need to get on board with these things now. You want to make sure you're using embedded AIs. Embedded AI is AI doing things for you. So seek out those tools, start using them right away, employ them in as many workflows that you have as possible. You're talking about saving tons of time, getting better outputs. We got this great visual that you made for the show. Like that's a value add. I'm sorry. That's really nice. So, I'm thinking about that
and guess how many people Canva is employing right now globally?
I don't know. No idea.
Well, what's your guess?
70,000.
5,500.
5,500. That's incredible. That's that to me that's the ultimate sign of health, right?
And what I saw, there were about 1,000 AI related positions that were some sort. So they're really doubling down on AI because it is driving a lot of their revenue.
Well, they refactored everything to kind of allow this scenario to unfold. And that's what you want to see. Like if you see somebody doing that, they're doing the right thing, or at least they're trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And definitely that's way better than somebody shoehorning AI into some old broken technology.
So
one's the future, one is not.
Yep. Any last minute takeaway or key takeaway or any?
Well, so exploring. So at the beginning of the show, I promised you a new workflow for your creatives and socials. That is what Canva is offering. That's what I think you should seek out. Maybe you don't want to use Canva. Maybe you can check out something else. There's Free Pick is another one. Go check these out and see how it can enhance your creative workflows. Because like I said, when you do a thing now on internet, you really have to do like 5 or 6 things. You need this image. You need a short video clip. You need a little pithy social content. You need all these things. Maybe some email content as well if you actually want to reach people. Canva is a one-stop shop for doing that. I highly encourage you to start leveraging assets that can spin up all this stuff in one click, essentially.
Yep.
It's winning.
Absolutely.
You're doing a lot of this stuff. You seems like you have superpowers. You're doing amazing things.
I am so amazing. Look at this. So as I was working on that and a bunch of news that I saw this week, it just felt like moving on to the next segment. It's just, I hear this word now so much that I'm almost like becoming numb to it. Everyone seems to be launching their own OS. OMG. OS over here, OS over there. So Canva launched their OS. Notion has OS. Figma has OS. ClickUp, Discrete. They're like, everybody is launching their own OS. And I'm like, what the heck does that mean? Well, of course, it doesn't mean a literal operating system. It's a branding move signaling that a company isn't a tool anymore. It's a foundational platform for full workflow.
Sassy.
And sassy. They want you to stay in their platform. So before you would go and write here, design here, edit here, email here. But now with this multimodal AI models, they're all bringing this together. Like the latest one was Grammarly. They bought Superhuman earlier, I think this year, and they rebranded. Now they're called, Grammarly is now Superhuman OS. So they're going to live in your email and do the whole thing. So whenever, I just wanted you guys to kind of hear it here. If you start hearing a lot of OS, just know it's not like OS. It's like, this is what it actually means.
It's all branding tidal wave, like saying you got AI in your product. Everyone's going to do it to the point where it actually has no meaning. And I hate that because the companies and people who are actually doing the right thing, that gets diluted because of all the noise in that space. It's like, well, is it really AI? Is this really an OS? What the heck is this?
Yes.
So you really have to analyze these things on the merits of their workflows and the leverage they provide for you and not on their goofball branding.
Right. So by launching OS, they bundle design, content, data, analytics into one system, kind of what we talked about with Canva. And they prevent users from bouncing between 5 different apps: Adobe, Mailchimp, Google Forms, Zapier. And then they monetize multiple steps in the funnel. So like with Canva, I do prompt, it generates picture, I edit it, I save it, it's ready to go, right? So like that's their OS, what they're talking about. And so the question is like, how do we make a seamless AI-powered workspace where users stay for the whole journey? So it's a moat move against GPT wrappers, which I don't even know if GPT wrapper is a bad thing.
No, it's necessary. So I think there's this idea that like every company doing something that's worth talking about is going to have its own AI. And that is so insane. That's just not reality at all. The amount of compute, the data center stuff, the tooling of that whole thing is so significant. It is an entire corporate operation.
Yeah.
It is an entire thing. You can't do both. Some people are going to try. Perplexity has its own little system, but those are actually wrappers on Meta's Llama and some other stuff. So even the ones that like claim to have their own, they're not really. They're just like, enhanced wrappers around these bigger models. There's no getting around that. it's good that we have the amount of models that we have. We've got OpenAI, we've got Anthropic, we've got Grok, we've got Gemini. At least we have those, a couple smaller other ones. There's some open models out there that, like PewDiePie, a prominent YouTuber, is running his own GPU with one of these open models and experimenting with that. Like there's experimentation going on, but all the companies doing something of note are wrappers around these big providers, and we actually like that's good. That's a good thing.
Well, so when you hear, everyone is launching an OS, it's not to compete with Windows or Mac, Mac's OS, but it's to own the entire AI-powered user journey from start to result. So bundling, increase switching costs as much as possible, and ride the AI wave beyond simple asset generation. So that's kind of what it is. You're pretty much, with PageMotor, you're moving away from being the OS, I guess, because you literally give the freedom to everybody to do whatever they want.
The OS for everything that a website needs to do. So like this is a big thing. So Lovable and Cursor were in the news this week as being ascendant because all these developers and the vibe coders of the world, this kind of thing, they're choosing those platforms to roll out their stuff, do super quick prototyping. But here's what they get. They don't have to mess with server space. They get databases, and they use goofball language around this, like, oh, it's scaled databases or, scaling ready, whatever. That's a bunch of nonsense. You just need a freaking database. So they have like a partnership with Supabase or something. So that gets rolled up for you automatically. And then they also get, critically, user management and authentication. Because it's one thing to build, you want to build your app, you're an indie developer. You don't care about user management and authentication. This is like technical crap that you don't care about.
Yep.
But you have to do it to have your app. So it's really nice to have the server space, the database, and the user management and authentication built in, because you've suddenly taken away all the dirty work that you didn't care about anyway, but you need.
Mm-hmm.
And that takes up a lot of compute time. PageMotor is a distributed platform. You take it, you install it on your own server and run it. It has all that stuff in it. It has the database. It has user management. It has authentication. It has all the means for generating content. It has means for controlling your design, the presentation of this content. It doesn't have to be a web page. You don't have to think about it that way, but you can. And it also critically has now, with version 0.4 beta, which just dropped yesterday, it has connection points for AI, so you can have the embedded AI do things for you. Right now, you can have it create content. It's actually really compelling. You can have it develop plugins, which is also really compelling, can save. So I think about the creating plugins in the way that I said earlier in the show about using AI to draft content. You start with a draft because it can do a lot of things right and give you like, oh, this is what this needs to be like this. I'm thinking about plugin creation in the same way. I've done some mock-ups of like e-commerce plugins, which are pretty involved. It's given me like 400 plus lines of code that's organized really well for like the skeleton, and I can go from there. It's really nice. So like I'm using embedded AI to do that already with PageMotor. It has another connection point. This is for the Lovable and the the Cursor, the vibe coder types of the world. It has another AI connection point called Accelerate AI. It operates on the front end. And so when you would deploy this, you would have a logged in user, such as somebody on Canva. You can offer a prompt to them that's only available on the page for logged in users or whatever. And you can have it do something. You can have it do anything. The sky's the limit. You can program what this thing can do, but it is a way to deliver embedded AI. And you can just start by doing that. You don't have to worry about the user management, the authentication, getting that whole platform to work. It already just works. So if you want to build embedded AI, you can just start with trying to build the embedded AI with PageMotor.
Sounds like you're giving a more democratized way for builders to have all these fancy tools that these bigger companies have that they spend a ton of money developing, but they'll be able to get access to that if they're building something, a website or some kind of product with PageMotor. They'll be able to have those kind of tools that right now, all these big companies are building to create the OS.
Well, that's one way to look at it. I just kind of see it like this is what you need.
Obviously,
why don't we have a platform that just gives you what you need?
Well,
like
let's call it OS now, okay? Because everybody's
PageMotor OS.
All right, we're gonna move to our segment.
It's a segment of your imagination.
Segment newsflash. We're gonna go super fast on this 4 pieces of news that I did not want to devote the whole segment to. So number 1, Adobe's new AI edits entire videos from one frame. So Adobe was in the news this week. Project Frame Forward lets you edit one video frame, and it propagates changes, add, remove objects, lightning across the full clip. So that speeds up the video workflow. For solo creators and small teams, it removes 90% of manual editing. So that's like their little news flash for you, for those who use Adobe, which, I do you know anybody who's using Adobe?
I do. They're all agency type designer holdovers from previous era. So people my age-ish.
I mean, I guess it's big news for them. Number 2, Shopify's AI traffic is up 7x. Orders are 11x. Apparently AI equals money. So Shopify reports.
Oh, we talked about this, right? This is a callback to.
So Shopify reports a 7x increase in traffic and 11x jump in AI-driven orders after integrating ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Microsoft Copilot for conversational commerce. So this is a concrete ROI if you run a product, app, or site. Embedding conversational AI directly in the funnel can now 10x conversions.
Do we have any examples of how that actually was integrated with ChatGPT? Are they making suggestions in line after you prompt?
Well,
I'm curious how it's working.
Partnership a couple weeks ago, and this is what they're. But this could be what they're saying. This is kind of this could be 80% hype because people are just trying and excited about it. So we don't know if that trend is going to continue. But 11 times jump in AI-driven orders, if it was 2 orders and now it's 11 times jump, we don't know how much they started with. So I'm going to continue watching this trend, but overall it's a pretty good start with commerce plus AI pair, which is what, Shopify was doubling down on.
It's sort of, this is a way to achieve word of mouth, but it's word of AI mouth.
Yeah.
That's going to be a thing.
If you're not in AI traffic, you're not going to be relevant in not too long.
Hey, I like your question. You might want to check this out. It could be an answer to your problem.
Yeah. What?
Well, that's how the recommendation would occur within the prompt.
True. All right. News number 3: Cursors multi-agent IDE drops. AI development workflow evolves. It's for developers out there. Cursor 2.0 adds a fast coding model composer trained on real dev challenges and a multi-agent interface that runs and compares outputs live. So it's a AI pair programming plus model completion. It's a real-time development.
Well, so it's you want to do this developing challenge or whatever. You want to code this thing. It's having multiple models answer that challenge, and then it's comparing the results so you can see which one's better. So it's like having Claude, Gemini, and GPT do this for you, and then you decide what's the better one. Very interesting thing there, because that's live comparison. I really like that idea.
Well, there you go. Is what's that show where you go and compete in America's Got Talent? No. Anyway, this is like that kind of reality show. Who will win this challenge? We'll see.
That's pretty fascinating, but hint, Claude wins.
I know. And the last one for the news segment is Amazon versus Perplexity. AI shopping assistant wars begin. So apparently Amazon hit Perplexity with legal threats demanding its agents stop making purchases on Amazon. Perplexity calls it corporate bullying. So, Perplexity can order things and put it on the cart and all that stuff. And Amazon said, we don't want this on our platform.
This has to be a legal thing.
So the agentic web is under attack. Platforms will fight back when third-party AI tries to complete tasks without permission. Watch where AI agents roam, which makes sense. Amazon is not there for AI agents. They are there for eyeballs. And we will see what happens, because we know if AI makes your purchases and whatnot, and there's no more eyeballs, there's no point of ads, It's
here's how I feel about this.
Amazon's not there for that.
I think about mattresses and stuffed animals. They got those stupid tags on them with 1 billion lines of legal text that no one's ever going to read. The stuffed animals got these tags 10 miles long with all this legal text. Whatever. We don't need that. I just want the toy. I just want the mattress.
But if you're Amazon,
Can't we just have Perplexity Comic going in there and buying some stuff on Amazon for me?
Amazon doesn't want that, apparently.
Yeah, why do we have to have a tag on this mattress?
Well, there you go. That's the news. We'll see we'll see the wars and we'll see what happens later. But I thought that was an interesting little thing.
Boo, Amazon, boo.
Yeah,
Boo.
whatever. So another podcast that I want to really glance over right quick this week was, well, it was last week. Yes, it was a Halloween special. That was Halloween special. Sam Altman and Satya Nadella were on Brad Gerstner's podcast, BG2. Also, I'm not going to go through the whole thing, just a very quick thing what they talked about. They talked about a lot of things, and I actually watching Sam. So Sam and Nadella and Elon, they all were on podcast last week, and watching Sam there with Nadella, it was kind of like Sam was there with a babysitter, which was really weird. The way he was behaving, the way he was answering the questions, he was kind of like on the defense. I know Brad didn't make it easy on him to ask him all these questions, and I'm sure people saw the clips of how Sam was being defensive about a couple things. So it was a very kind of spicy podcast. So go and watch it if you want some entertainment. But I actually liked what Nadella said about a couple things, and I wanted to bring up a couple points that I thought was worthwhile to talk about here. So he was talking about how we're moving away from a software seat, paying $99 a month for a software seat, and he thinks that era is ending, which is kind of in alignment with what you talk about. He was talking that agents are their new seats. So it's not just the pricing shift, it's a full-on mindset change about what works, kind of what work would look like in the age of AI. So let's
talk about the real world model right now. Is like you pay for this service, for your company, and it's $10 per seat per month.
Yes.
And your monthly spend is like you got 11 people, so it's $110 a month for those seats. He's saying that's a SaaS style pricing model. He's saying that is dead.
So go to this slide, agents are the new seats, the future of SaaS. So you can see here, I don't know if you can see this very well. It's kind of
I can highlight what the text is. I'll read it.
Okay. So in kind of the comparison, kind of what he talked about, the old SaaS model and the new AI model. And basically what that means is that, humans, when you buy humans, you buy like 8 hours a day of productivity. When you buy an AI agent, you buy 24/7 productivity. But here's the thing about an interesting take on this is AI is still limited, right? You can't just run unlimited. It's like, why can I have unlimited AI for one agent? Why do I have 100 agents? Well, we all know there is the infrastructure, like the bandwidth, right? So AI can only, like every prompt you run, every action you do in CP's world has a cost. So that's what Nadella was talking about, is that AI agents are not free. So if people are thinking that's going to be free, it's like a big awakening, is coming.
Well, here's how you got to think about this. So you will pay, instead of per seat per human, you'll pay per agent.
Right.
And that might seem annoying at first. You might think, well, why can't I just have one that does all the things I need to do? Here is why you can have one that does all the things you need to do. The AI problem comes down to efficiency in prompting. So you need to get a clarity on a question and then give the AI exactly what it needs to answer that question. It is that specificity, that part of the equation is difficult. It has to be engineered. The next thing you have to do is get clarity on like what is going to be done. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you will say, okay, here's what we want to do. The AI will say, oh, here's what I need to do what we want to do. And then you give it the information. That needs to be the tightest package possible to save money on tokens. And then it does what you need to do. That is the definition of an agent. If an agent now tries to branch out and do multiple other things, it might have trouble determining, like, here's the prompt, maybe I do this, maybe I do that. The outcomes get worse. So this is why you need clearly defined agents performing separate tasks. So you might figure out, so we don't think about work in this way right now, but in the future, we're going to see, oh, I actually need 4 agents to perform these tasks that this department of humans used to do. And the pricing will be very clear. You'll be okay with that, and you'll be fine with the way that works because the results will be consistent, they will be repeatable, and they're going to happen all the time. They're going to be running all the time, not just when the humans are working.
Right.
So agents do need to be broken up. You can't just pay for one thing and have it do it all. That's not the way it works.
Well, so what you're talking about is that, usage-based compute pricing, right? It's like every action will have a cost in that world, because what we're dealing with now with PageMotor, you see, like every time you send that prompt out, it's costing money, right?
Yep.
Like anytime there's AI involved, there is some kind of cost at the bottom of it. So it's not free, but it's a lot cheaper than hourly somebody who doesn't, who can get sick and this and that. So there's all that stuff coming out.
It just makes us uncomfortable when we know that like we're getting nickel and dimed on every action that we take, because we're used to paying for things in big chunks and not thinking about the nickel and dime aspect of it. You are paying in that way. You just don't think about it that way.
Well, especially when it comes to human labor. That's the thing. So with human labor, like, I mean, in the States, yeah, hourly could be anything. Like it's a huge, difference. But with this, like you can get, you hire slowly, right? It takes forever to hire somebody. But with AI agents, you can deploy, hundreds of agents in minutes. You still have to pay.
Would you rather hire a human and go through that process and deal with the uncertainty, or would you rather hire 3 agents? Might not like that it's 3 agents. I want one.
So what can agents?
I'm hiring agents.
Here's what he was talking about. So, in the old model, the human was the cost driver, right? How many humans do we need to put in Slack, right? For example, it's $8 per user per month. You have 10 employees, you have $80 a month that you have to pay for Slack. Well, now with new SaaS model, you pay per AI agent. That's an autonomous software worker. They don't sleep, and they handle tasks like customer support, lead generation, report writing, data scraping, even code creation, which obviously is going to be questionable. And so it's not about how many people use your software, it's about how many jobs your AI agents can do. We also know that multitasking is a myth, right? It's we think we can, but even that has a cost of switching. No human works really 8 hours. If you pay somebody hourly, they take breaks, they have to do certain things, they get distracted, they scroll through Instagram, whatever. So there's all this stuff that's happening with humans that with AI agents, you're just, not going to do. And so, for example, if you have, instead of asking how many people can we hire, how much work can we automate? And when I deal with my clients in recruiting, one of the hardest conversations sometimes we have to have is that what are the KPIs are going to be for this new hire? How are you going to measure their success? And a lot of companies really have to think about that. And I think with the agent, that's going to be even more. You have to define that, because then you wouldn't know what that actually means.
It's going to clarify stuff that's been nebulous up to now.
So with great refactoring, what you talk about is not only KPIs will be it's going to be the foundation of everything. Those companies are going to have to succeed. They're going to know exactly the KPIs they're trying to accomplish and achieve, so the agents can get those. Those companies that are going to be loosey-goosey on that, they're going to keep hiring humans or whatever, and they may not get to the kind of that point that AI agent can get you by handling particular task. So an agent, a task, not, a human, look at me, I can do 100 different tasks, but it also has a cost for that, obviously, for me. So what are your thoughts on that?
I love the clarity that thinking in terms of agents and outcomes provides. I can't help but think about my favorite author, and the only guy I really take any advice from, a man named Thomas Sowell, who writes a lot of books about economics, culture, other stuff like that. But he's very no nonsense. It's very I don't know. I feel like it's not his work's not emotional. It's very analytical. And one of the things he always says is that society does a very poor job of examining outcomes. We do we spend a whole lot of energy on intent, like what we would like to do and see, and then we take some actions, and we don't often connect the outcomes that we get to the actions that we took. We don't analyze those things and really improve on those very well. AI is going to help us do that. It's going to shift our thinking. It's going to connect actions and outcomes and inputs and outcomes more clearly. And I just love where I know that's going to head, because it's going to help refine our thinking, and it's going to help refine just how we approach doing everything.
We wouldn't be, I mean, if you continue being sloppy with defining tasks for humans, which a lot of companies, there's a lot of waste on that, right? And so, because there we can get away with that. Well, they should know this. They got to do this. They got to do that. With AI, you have to be very specific. I need 10 leads, go get them, right? I need to handle 1,000 customer tickets, whatever, support tickets. But there's going to be I cannot wait to see how that's going to change the landscape of accountability in every company, because that's going to be huge. So yeah, there's like you said, there's cost, speed, and accuracy. And if you're not optimizing, you're burning money, tokens, and trust. You're going to be burning a lot of stuff, and I don't know how long you can survive on that. So that was interesting to me. That from that podcast, everyone is focusing on the drama with Sam and how he's cheesy and sleazy and this and that, whatever. He can do whatever he wants to do. But to me, seeing this and kind of hearing Satya talking about it, that was very fascinating, because he kind of put a nice little wrapper around what the future of SaaS would look like. And
I love that they were so upfront about how AI compute has a cost. When you're dealing with AI, that transaction of information back and forth carries a cost. You can't get around it. And this is the new limiting factor in software. Expansion in hardware has made it so that you can just do whatever. We can do more. We've got all this capacity. And that resulted in a generation of absolute slop. Our software's been terrible.
Well, hold on a sec. Another thing they talked about was they compute, what did they say? It's not the...
Software has a marginal cost?
Yes, because software burns real compute every time you use it. So
if it has AI, it's burning real compute.
And AI isn't just software, it's compute intensive software. Every prompt is burning tokens, GPU time, and energy. And so AI features are not free, even though when they're free, they're not really free. So this forces real design discipline. But what's really interesting, they're talking about it's not a chip problem. It's the fact that they don't have warm shells to plug into. So that was another thing that we have to think about. So it's not about GPUs. The real bottleneck, according to Satya, you go Nadella or Satya, what would you say?
Nadella.
Nadella. The real bottleneck, according to Nadella and Sam, was power, space, and infrastructure. So Nadella is basically saying we could buy more GPUs if we had power and physical data center space.
Yeah, so they're saying they can't get data center space fast enough.
Well, because electricity and actually energy that is required to do this, it's already under a lot of scrutiny. So it's only going to get worse. So again, AI is not free. So the ones who are most efficient with how they use it are going to be winning. It's not this unlimited buffet of energy out there. We still have to generate all this formula.
Energy. AI embedded software is the future. The reason why is because the future is about AI doing things for us. Embedded AI is how AI does things for us. The limiting factors on that are efficiency and token usage, efficiency in token usage, and making sure that the information that gets exchanged promotes accurate, repeatable results.
Mm-hmm.
This means you can't avoid the efficiency problem. You can't have sloppy software. You can't do it the wrong way. You have to adhere to these constraints to get the answers that are going to be useful for people. And so the future of software is going to be massively more efficient. The programs are going to be better than the programs we've had for the last 20 years. I couldn't be happier about this. I mean, this is amazing because it looked grim.
It's a lot of constraints.
It's been, you could get away with anything.
It's a lot of constraints. It's nothing is free. at the buffet, there's constraints everywhere.
Cost per action is my love language.
Yeah.
You love to see it.
Anyway,
Let's skip patents. Moving on to funding.
Yeah, we're gonna skip it.
Yep.
Okay.
Pro sports seems to fail. Let's go to funding.
You don't want to do about the pro sports?
Nah, we can do that another time if we want.
Okay. All right. Well, let's do our funding then. Fine. So you want to pull up those slides?
I sure do.
All right. Last week let's see what the funding. I mean, it's the same story every week. Good Lord. They just keep throwing money at it. So last week it was 2.5 billion invested across 82 AI companies in the world. So almost 50% of all venture funding worldwide went to AI. US was the winner, of course, with 68% of global AI capital. There were a lot of mega deals, which we're going to talk about. And key themes included convergence of AI with blockchain, enterprise, automation, and healthcare. So go to the next one, please.
Blockchain stands out there. We haven't seen much of that before now.
What is?
The blockchain stuff. We haven't seen too much investment along those lines until this week.
For sure. So you look at the United States. United States is leading with 68%. We've got 34 companies. China is behind with 262 million, 9 companies.
They rang the bell this week.
I know. Europe is also there with 12 companies. They're kind of China and Europe were pretty close together, and then there's everybody else. So what were the top, like who basically, like what distributions did we see? There was AI intelligence, software, like the top 5 were information technology, healthcare, and blockchain. But what's cool about it is that the top 5 deals, they're mega deals, right? If you want to go to the next one. There's this company called Metropolis with 500 million out of
this one's crazy.
Yes. So do you want to tell what it does?
Yeah. So they're startup based. Well, I don't know if they're a startup anymore, but they're based out of New York City. They're automating parking with AI and computer vision, eliminating payment friction and managing operations seamlessly. So the picture here is that you go into a parking venue, they tell you where to park, you park the car, payment and stuff is already taken because they have your vehicle information or whatever. They know that you're in there. The whole thing is handled from start to finish with no interaction, no gating, no kiosks to deal with, no ticket to validate, none of that stuff. And I think they actually are working on a validation layer too, so it's all digital though. And there's no exchange of, there's no tickets and stuff like this. I think it's interesting that they're in New York City because cars are much less of a thing there. I mean, there definitely are cars in New York City. Parking is a premium. People pay $80,000 a year for parking spaces. But it seems to me this would be most useful in places like, Dallas and Houston, where there's tons of cars and people commuting and then needing the traffic.
Well, I mean, they're just headquartered out of there. I mean, they're just going to do this all over. But I am more interested in like in 5 years, we're not going to even need parking anymore with self-driving cars. They'll just drop you off and go somewhere else.
Yeah, it's just interesting to me. That seems like an awfully big investment in this.
$500 million, like guys, like if nothing else from the show, like just listening, who is raising money, whatever dream you have, like you can.
There's probably $100 million waiting for you.
Exactly. Ripple raised $500 million. That's a blockchain-based instant global payments.
This one makes sense to me.
What?
What they do is they are enabling you to make payments. You can use stable coins or fiat currency. They'll convert it. They send it via, a crypto type transaction on the blockchain. And then that money is either converted into whatever unit the receiving party wants to receive. This is an end around. You don't need wire transfers. It gets around traditional banking. And it also breaks down global barriers. So like if you're not allowed to send money to a particular country, for example, this will break down those barriers as well. It is a more frictionless way to do it. And I believe all the conversions are handled with AI.
Well, $500 million. What are they going to do with that money? I have questions. Then it's Hippocratic. How do you say it?
Hippocratic AI.
Hippocratic AI. long name. 126 million out of California. Save Healthcare LLM to assist clinicians.
Yep.
Mind Robotics out of China with 115 million. Industrial robots for logistics and factories. Man, China's been like,
they've been the head of all this
they've been
innovation for
funding a
factory
lot
stuff.
of robots.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what do you? What do you
China's
think?
two big areas are EVs and manufacturing robotics type stuff. Those are their two big areas. Well, it makes sense. So China has the biggest EV manufacturers in the world now. We just don't allow them to be sold in America, so we're not as used to them. You go down to Mexico, you see BYD everywhere. There's another one whose name I'm forgetting that's even bigger than BYD, Xiaomi or something, XAOMI, I think something like this. But they have pretty interesting stuff going on. Definitely on par with Teslas of the world. And their other thing, they're the manufacturing headquarters of the world now. And so it makes sense that they would have robotics things happening there. We all know about worker conditions in China. That's been like a meme for 40 years. It makes sense that this stuff's happening there.
And then the last one out of the 5 AI deals for the week was Wuhan Winning. I would skip the Wuhan.
How bad is Wuhan's branding at this point? My goodness.
But I don't know if what are they going for. But
this is actually a really interesting company.
Yes.
Batteries as a service for EVs, reducing upfront costs, extending battery life cycles, uses AI for predictive maintenance and performance optimization, embedding intelligence into energy systems. So basically, they're sticking an AI monitor on the battery and making suggestions based on the battery performance, analytics.
Listen, just seeing where the money flows, I'm like, this is crazy. This is crazy to me. So funding trends, seed dominated, late stage captures most capital. So half deals are seed stage, but late stage firms drew a third of total funding. So it's a signal of strong innovation and scaling maturity, which is, it's great. Innovation is awesome. Then trend number 2 was enterprise automation leads. 21 companies focus on automating business workflows. Generative AI now functions more as an embedded feature than a standalone product, which we'll talk about that.
Makes sense. Got to do things or it doesn't matter.
There's 4 mega deals, 50% of the capital. US hyper dominating, which is, makes sense. And then AI converging with blockchain and robotics. There was 12 crypto blockchain and 12 robotics firms integrating AI to enhance automation, fraud detection, and real-world intelligence, illustrating AI's shift from pure LLMs to systems combining reasoning and action. Anyway, that's another week in AI funding. It's never boring. But let's kind of close this up with what's the biggest takeaway from today's show?
Number 1, you have got to go out and establish a content workflow. Probably, if you deal with this at all, you got to establish an AI enhanced content workflow. You absolutely have to do it. There's just too many assets you have to make. You can't be spending all your time doing this stuff. It makes sense to augment those workflows and add as much power to your stack as possible. So definitely go out. By the end of this week, you need to, or by the end of next week, you need to have something like this in place that you're using to kind of level up your thing. You see every week Olga creating more presentables and stuff like that. This is remarkable stuff. If you have to present a document like that, she gave you a live document that actually responds to the position of the mouse on the page and is clickable for additional information. Like that is next level stuff. Like I see somebody bring that in, I'm impressed. That's really nice. So definitely get on that. Be thinking about aligning yourself with embedded AI tools that are truly embedded AI, where the AI does things for you. If you're still using like WordPress or something like that, you're not getting anything from that. The AI is not really doing anything for you. So you can tell yourself, well, this is the platform that most people use. But the reality is that car's in a race and that car's getting lapped like crazy. And it'll be real obvious in the future when these embedded AI tools appear and all of the different aspects of the workflow are enhanced, not just one aspect like, oh, it can create some content. What if the whole system could be affected by this embedded AI? Well, that thing's going to win in the end. It's pretty obvious. And by doing that, you're giving yourself tons of leverage. So like if you're an agency, my God, if you're an agency providing like website stuff for clients, almost everything you do, like don't have a big ego about what you do. Almost everything you do can be performed by AI and in a more consistent way where a human could then go check the results and then interface with the client and really help deliver more of exactly what the client wants. And all the technical stuff's just going to work. The design stuff is going to be more predictable, more clear pathways to get where you want to go. Like, I don't know how you could justify being an agency and not involving AI in your flows at this point. Like, I don't trust you if you're not.
Right.
I think those are the two big takeaways. Like it's alignment, getting yourself prepared for the future. No matter what you do, AI offers some level of enhancement along the way.
Well, and then my takeaway from today was, first, I want to be a fly on the wall in Perplexity's office when somebody had an idea. Let's go and pitch Snapchat on being their, dedicated AI provider or whatever. I want to know, like, what were they thinking about? That's a big play. That
400 million for that data.
That's just added to the bottom line. So I want to be a fly on the wall of like who was drinking what to be like, let's go do that. Let's do that. Why not? Right. That's a big strategic play that we don't, we'll see what happens.
I mean, it could be a total flop and Perplexity will totally disappear because this will just smash them.
We don't know.
It could also be super genius,
I just don't know how it could flip-flop if they're getting data that no one else can really get from this younger generation. That's my first thing. Like, I'd love to know what they're learning. Maybe I don't want to know what they're learning because who knows? And then my other takeaway is I'm actually at this point, I'm using AI to learn anything I want to learn. So like how to do this, visuals. Like I've updated my skills on Claude. So for like this funding report that I did, it took me maybe 2 minutes to create that thing. So like every week, I know you guys think I create the show for you, and I do. I love learning about new things, but selfishly, the amount of stuff I learned how to do with AI in the last 15 weeks has been insane. So the time it saves me, the thinking I have to do, like how can I make my clients' lives easier with automating AI and using AI? And I'm literally talking to AI, like, this is what I'm doing. What can we automate? So I'm building different workflows and I'm building different things. My presentation things got better for my clients because I'm not a creative person. I don't like putting PDFs together. It's just boring the crap out of me. But now Claude does it for me, which is great. All right. And then now Canva does my things for me, like all those things. Like I'm just creating all these minions around me by giving them stuff that I don't want to do. So my takeaway, see what's boring to you or what's something that you don't want to do. Like, and ask AI, how can you help me with that? What
Love
can
it.
you do?
Love
Anyway.
it. You're powering up if you're here. That's why you're here.
Oh my gosh. Way to be here. This is amazing. Like, way to put yourself ahead of the curve to see what's happening and what's coming, because things are moving so fast. I'm getting whiplash every week.
I want to close the show by patting us on the back. And we haven't mentioned this enough, but like I think it was the last week of September, we gave you information about an MIT study that examined all these companies doing AI initiatives, and it determined that 95% of those initiatives had failed. It gave some reasons why, and then only 5% were successful. And oh, by the way, here's what that 5% are doing. We brought that up, I think it's like September 28th, something like that, going way back. Last week, it was the New Yorker magazine published a post about that exact same thing, that exact study. The last time I saw on X, it had 3.4 million views. It's probably over 4 million now. Got ridiculous traction. But they were good 5 weeks behind what we had here. Like, you would have known way ahead of time. There's been other examples of this where we were like 2-3 weeks ahead of the curve.
For some reason, this kind of been the cadence. I've noticed that whatever we talk about here, the mainstream media kind of picks up 3 to 4 weeks later, and like it becomes hot. So by being here, you're literally a couple weeks ahead of like what's happening on X, and then on LinkedIn, it's going to be next year.
Yeah.
So it's basically, if you're watching this and you're on LinkedIn, and I love LinkedIn, like you can use this information on LinkedIn already and use it for your own good. So I'm glad you're here learning with us. I think I'm a different professional after 15 weeks of doing all this. So
No question. So I send out emails before the show, and I always like to pose these questions like, oh, what's going to happen here? How will you deal with this? That kind of thing. The reality is, if you're here, you're getting the information you already need to know to navigate this.
Yep.
If you're here, you will be touching on the stuff you need to know to navigate. You're going to make it.
Yeah.
You're going to make it. If you're here, you're going to make it. All right.
Yep. That's awesome. Thanks for being here. And we'll catch you guys next week on Practical AI.
See you, gang.
Bye.